All right, stepping into dynamics. Let's just jump right in. We covered compression a bit way back in week one when we were talking about tracking, and I kind of went through a few plugins with you. And we'll go ahead and just do that again real quick. We'll shoot out some plugins. I'm not going into all the bells and whistles like I did. Go ahead and check out that vocal recording lecture from week one if you want a little refresher on that. But let's just get right into the lead vocal. Let's establish a lead vocal sound for the first verse. I'm going to work on the verses first. I'll work on the balance, the tone, the dynamics. We'll do all this in one shot here. So I will start out. Let's go ahead and mute our backgrounds. I don't want to hear those right now. So I'll just come down to the sub here, mute this. I'll probably forget it's muted later, but let's worry about that at another time. Okay, so the LV.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
That might be a little buried right here. And this is the kind of thing, the way I start out of the mix, we could maybe establish a better balance at the chorus where everything's probably going to be a bit louder. So maybe just starting right here, let's go ahead and just bump my lead vocal up just a touch. Let's get it. Let's see what it sounds like for this first verse without the compressor.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
Let's check it out in the chorus here.
Like the whole world revolves around you. It's not about you.
Might still just be a touch low. Let's go maybe another half dB up.
Like the whole world revolves
It's kind of jumping out, but once I get my compressor set.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
Okay, let's start about right there. So, all right, so LV, let's check out some of our compressors. Actually, before that, like you guys know, I like to do the high-pass filters. Let's start with the high-pass filter first. As you notice through the comping of this, there were a lot of plosives in our tracks. So let's go ahead and dig into those a little bit, get rid of those.
You said you needed my love.
High-pass filter here. Do not use that default 1000. Let's bring that way back. So start at about 100 here. Female voice. We got a lot of bass in this track.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
Maybe let's try it up there, about 150, 160. Let's really get her riding above that bass.
You said you needed my love,
Without it.
but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get enough, like you tried.
All right, so that's definitely going to separate it from that bass instrument a little bit. I mean, if we get the bass rocking in here.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get.
I mean, if you got something that seems muddy in your track, always go to high-pass filters first. Try them on different tracks, see which one's mucking up the mix the most, and apply some high-pass filter to it. So we'll start out, we'll get rid of that mud on the bottom, get rid of some of the power of the plosives so they don't trigger our compressor in a way that we don't want. So dynamics, what are some of the ones you guys have? You have the BF76. You have our friend, the Renaissance compressor. And just for fun, why don't we try the basic good old Dyne 3 compressor. And let's see, I got a spot for one more. What do you guys want? I don't have anything that exciting that you don't have. How about, yeah, we'll do the LA2A as well. So let's go ahead and bypass all these. Command click the bypass. Command control click, remember that's deactivate. So I'll just bypass them for now. Starting off with our friend, the 1176. Remember we talked about the slowest attack, fastest release setup like this. Going 4-to-1, let's not overcompress. I'm going to go ahead and just drive it more from the start. And let's see what I got.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get enough, like you tried, like you tried. You said you needed my love.
All right, so that's digging in quite a bit. Let's back that input off a touch.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
Always gain match. Let's see what I got with and without it.
You said you needed my love. You said you needed my.
It's a bit louder, so maybe I'll just back it off a touch still. Still kind of digging into that thing. I mean, some music really people do drive these pretty hard, but with this track, I don't think it's necessary.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
It's pretty even, so my gain staging's even. Let's listen to the track.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
That's nice. I like what it's doing to the vocal tone.
You said you needed my love. You said you needed my love.
I don't mind the sound of that BF-76 at all. Here's an old favorite, the Renaissance compressor. I'll go ahead and get rid of the automatic release control. I'm going to get rid of warm. I'm going to leave that low end alone on my vocal track. I'll stick with electro because that's how I like to use this thing usually. We'll go with a low ratio, like 3-1. And I'm going to dig into this sucker. Let's go a fast attack, a couple milliseconds. So I'm really just kind of grabbing on constantly onto these peaks.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get enough. Like you tried, like you tried. You say it feels like we're in love. You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't.
Let's go back against that 1176.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
Back into our Renaissance.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get.
They both sound pretty nice, honestly. Let's solo them up. Here's our 1176 again.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
Into our Renaissance.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
I feel like this one, the 1176 is a touch brighter. Again, kind of that nice darkness, smoothness of the Renaissance is cool as well. Let's see what else is up our sleeve here. Here's just the stock Avid compressor. Let's see what she's got here.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
Yeah, right out of the box. Not sounding so great in my opinion. Let's try speeding the attack up a little bit. Getting rid of the release. Let me bring that threshold up a touch.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
See what that sounds like compared to the other.
You said you needed my love. You said you needed my love.
Maybe it's a touch loud. And there is no output gain. That's kind of frustrating with this thing. So here, I'll try just a little harder with the compressor.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
Listen to those unvoiced consonants. Listen to like the S and listen to that CH sound and but you.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
Seems to add a little artifact to that CH. Not my favorite compressor. Sometimes it is cleaner than the others. Again, back to that the Renaissance compressor for reference.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
And back into the D3.
You said you needed my love.
Seems a little more transparent. Here it is in the track.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
And lastly, let's go with this CLA2A, so replica of the old LA2A. Remember, out of the box, way too hot. So let's go 33, 33.
You said you needed my.
That's nominal, so.
You said you needed my love.
So out of the box, it doesn't really compress. Let's do that peak reduction a little higher.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get.
A little jumpy, wasn't it? Here we go. Let's try about 45.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
So kind of cool thing about the LA2A, you know, it's a slower limiter here. Even though we have it in compressed mode, it just acts more like a limiter in general because these were built for radio usage to keeping broadcast bands within certain frequencies way back in the day. So notice it really you can see it on those hot peaks here when it actually kicks in. So it's a little bit more natural sounding because it's really only hitting the hottest peaks as it goes by.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
You know, it's a little bit of a more gentle setting. Let's hear it in the track.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
So that compared to the D3.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
Here's our Renaissance.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
And lastly, our 1176.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
So it's just those slight different tonal changes, a little bit different ways they react to the attack and release functions. I really leave it up to you. But just remember, do not use anything that I do not have in my plugin list. So right there, that's everything that I currently have installed. So do not use a compressor or a plugin of any sort that I do not have. I will not be able to open yours or use your session properly. So, okay. So really, honestly, what should I go with here? I'm going to say, just to be different, I'm going to go with the 1176. Yeah, really being different, huh? So I'm going to leave that on my lead. I think it sounds fine for this vocal. And let's maybe establish a sound with our chorus vocals really quick, the leads here. Same thing. I'm probably just going to copy down my high pass. Let's see what I want to have it set to.
It's not about you. Yeah.
Remember, it's hard left and right. Here's without the high pass.
It's not about you. It's not about you. Yeah. It's not about you. Yeah.
Not a lot of high, low end in these. So, hey, I'll dig into this a little more, try to create a little more separation. And I'm doing them just a touch different than what was going on in the verse. So just trying to add a little variable so it isn't the same all the time. That's something that I like to do. Maybe you want something more linear, go with it. If you want them set the same, that's kind of your producer call here. So getting some compressors established just to change it up. Why don't I try something different than what was going on in the verse? So I'm going to just switch it up to, I'll try my my Renaissance here this time. Or you know what? How about let's do even a different compressor. Let's go back to that one I showed you back in the first week's lecture, the very clean, the uber clean Avid Pro compressor here. Let's get this set for the chorus.
It's not about you. Yeah.
Very powerful, and even just with the default setting, you don't hear too much pumping. But I'm going to back off the release a touch. Maybe keep the attack about right where it was. Might need a little makeup gain here.
It's not about you. It's not about.
Yeah, just getting them about the same level. So that was easy. Kind of set it and forget it. Let's hear it with both of them in there.
It's not about you. Yeah.
So I'm digging into these. These are going to be hot. These are the chorus vocals here. Let's see.
It's not about you.
Might be a little too hot. Let's back that threshold off just a little bit. I feel like I'm choking them just a little too much. So once I get it set on the left, I can just option drag it and bring it to the one on the right.
It's not about you. Yeah. Like the whole world revolves around you. It's not about.
It's not bad. It's not killing me though. It's almost like I want to feel them a little more forceful. This is a little too transparent. So yeah, they're nice. They're pretty, but let's try something else. Don't always go with the first thing. How about, let's do more aggressive. Let's go back to our 1176, but let's try a different setting. And this is a nice thing about having them on two different tracks. Maybe we can be a bit more aggressive with the tone in this one and see if it's beneficial to us.
It's not about you.
Let's dig into this thing. Let's fast release. Let's crank that in.
It's not about you. Yeah.
So, I mean, I add a lot of gain, so gain match it.
It's not about you. Yeah.
Still a little hot with that in.
It's not about you.
Don't be scared. Let's really go.
It's not about you.
That's cool. Probably need to bring this back a little.
It's not about you.
And sometimes like an 1176 or a distressor, certain compressors don't really kind of shine until you start really digging into them. Remember, this is a hard knee compressor, so the harder I drive it, the more sort of compressed, a little bit more of a harmonic distortion in the emulation I'm going to get. So this is pretty good.
It's not about you.
Pretty aggressive, pretty loud.
It's not about you.
Let's copy that down to the second one.
It's not about you. Yeah. Like the whole world revolves around you. It's not about you.
Helps tuck them in a little bit more. I think they're jumping out too much. I might want to back this off still. There we go.
It's not about you. Yeah. Like the whole world revolves around you. It's not about you.
You know, it's just kind of making these a little more slamming, a little more loud, a little, hey, she's really exclamating. And then when this comes in, it's a little more quaint. It's a little more less compressed. Obviously, we can ride it a little bit with automation to get it just right, but I kind of like the flavors here that we're going between the two. I'm going to stick with our 1176 and move on. Again, you're free to try whatever compressor you would like to use. I'm going to stay away from the backgrounds here just still for a second. Let's maybe look at a little EQ next. Now, do I always do things in this order? This is kind of my normal workflow. I like to do a low pass, feed that into my compressor, and now if I feel the need for any EQ, I'll do it after the compression here. One reason is because I feel like the compressor I choose sort of changes the tone. So I'm going to go with some EQ. I mean, again, you guys are free. If you have one of these at home, go ahead and use one of these different EQs. But if you don't have anything installed other than the stock Avid stuff, let's just go ahead and play with the EQ7. This is a fine EQ. I use it all the time. We already have a high pass in place, so if anything, maybe we'll talk about a low pass later. But remember, you have 5 distinct bands. I typically go with a bell curve on all of them, even the high shelf and low shelf. I'm not big on shelving EQs on vocals. If I'm going to use this, it's probably going to be a little bit of an overall brush stroke to brighten things or darken things, or we might get real surgical and do a couple little cuts or boosts at certain frequencies, and that's what this thing's really nice for. So a few little tricks with this I want to show you real quick. One major mistake I feel people make a lot is they start EQing in solo too much. They don't EQ with the track in mind. So let's listen first, see if there's anything that we boost or cut that seems to help within the track, and then maybe we can solo it from there to get a little more nuance. So just listening to this in the track, I mean, it was tracked with a condenser mic. There's quite a decent amount of high end on there. I don't think we have to make it too much brighter. And a lot of times that's the sign, I feel, of a rookie mixer, somebody that just makes these obscenely bright vocal sound that kind of will rip your head off when you turn up the mix too loud. So let's be careful of that here.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
I mean, it's a nice tone. It's sitting in there great. I mean, honestly, even just with what little EQ we have going on now with the high pass filter. But let's play around a little bit. I feel like maybe we could do like just a high mid boost. Now, be careful. The closer you get to 1K that you boost, 1K, as you've learned, is the loudest frequency. So you want to make something louder in your track, go ahead and try to boost some 1K, but a little goes a long way with that. So I'm talking more like probably 1.5 up close to 5K. I feel like 5K is a very pretty frequency that people fall in love with and just abuse a lot. But 1.5, 2 to 3K, sometimes that can give us a bit more edge out of the vocal sound, a bit more consonant, a bit more attack, and it's not as frizzly or sizzly as this stuff way up here once we get to 10K. We can try adding a little, what I like to call the magical fairy dust up here in 10K land, but again, be careful because of sibilants and spit sounds, breaths. A lot of stuff can come along with it. So one thing I say to newer mixers is try to put a governor or a limit on yourself of how much you're going to cut or boost. A lot of times I say to students, let's keep it to a 3 dB boost or a 3 dB cut. Anything more beyond that, you got to start questioning how you tracked it. Now, of course, we might get in and do something crazy and destroy something with EQ, for a special effect. But for just everyday EQ, for just, sweetening something, let's keep the cuts and boosts to maybe just 2-3 dB. You'll see how just a couple little moves here will drastically change the vocal sound. So getting back to that high mid, let's try something here. Let's go to the high mid band. You can just grab that color globe and add or subtract the EQ.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
Now I'm doing an extreme boost so I can really kind of hear it cut through the mix. I kind of settled on 2.54 centered there. I kind of liked something that was being added there. Now, am I going to do this wide of a boost? Remember, we have width of the bandwidth of the EQ itself. That is denoted where? That's this guy, right? So moving that makes it wider or more narrow or wide. If there's a nice quick key, if you just hold Control and make your move, we can sit there and mess with the bandwidth as well. Another nice one is, say we're really getting surgical. Say we wanted to cut this frequency out. We can make this subtractive just by shift clicking. So shift click, Control click to control the cue. And here's the one that a lot of students like. You can actually solo up the frequency, almost like a side chain. We can listen just to that frequency we're boosting or cutting. To do that, it's Control Shift and make a mouse move. So I'm going to go ahead and solo this up just to demonstrate this.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
Yeah, I think that's about where that frequency is. I like it was about 2.2, 2.4, somewhere in that range. And by using Control Shift and a mouse move, I can solo up just that frequency. So in the track now,
you said you needed my love.
I mean, this is probably a bit too much.
You lied. Yeah, you.
Let's back that off a bit. Let's like the number I said. Let's just go to 3 dB at the most here.
You said you needed my love.
Here's without it.
You said you needed my love. You said you needed my love.
I can try widening it if I want to. If I want just this to kind of be a broadband upper mid boost.
You said you needed my love. You said you needed my love.
So, I mean, if I go that wide, I really feel like I need to back this off a little bit because I'm really hearing a big difference. So how about a dB and a half?
You said you needed my love.
I mean, that's, to me, almost, that's about all this vocal kind of needs. I'm just giving her a little more edge to kind of cut through. She's competing with some of the synths and the Rhodes with those stabs, the hi-hat and the cymbals and the drums. I'm just giving her a little touch more help there. We could try a little, like I said, the top end boost here.
You said you needed my love.
12K there. That's kind of a nice airy frequency.
You said you needed my love.
Now don't do this though. I mean, look at that. I'm adding 10 dB. That's obscene. Let's back that off. Let's keep this classy sounding.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
So 3 dB here, dB and a half here. So this is a big difference without it.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied.
With it.
You said you needed my love. You said you needed my. You said you needed my love.
Here it is with it in the music.
You said you needed my love, but you lied.
To me, it's a little dramatic still. I'm going to bring that down. I feel like that 12K is a bit much.
You said you needed my love, but you lied. Yeah, you lied. Saying that you can't get enough.
I mean, another thing, I really like the overall tone of this mic. I don't feel the need to like add anything else or subtract. If you want to dig into it more, by all means, go for it. But I really, honestly, with my mixing style, I'm a bit less is more. And also and when you get blessed with some good sounding tracks, you'll find you don't have to do as much to this and just work more on balance and overall tone and effect. So that's just a little bit on EQing these. The chorus vocals, do I want to do these exactly the same? Probably not. I feel like they should be somewhat different. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this down, and then we can go ahead and go factory default. And on these, let's decide what we want to do. Let's listen going into the chorus here.
That's why I'm trying to discover a way to say it's not about you. It's not about you. Yeah. Like the
feel like I was going to bring a little low end, just make him fuller when we hit that chorus. Why not?
Not about you. It's not about you. Yeah. Like the whole world revolves around you. It's not about you. Yeah. It shows in every little thing that's
Let's maybe just do a kind of a broadband. Okay, I'm doing around that 6K where I said be careful, around 5K, 6K. People fall in love with this frequency. Let's try copying that down to the right. Let's see what we got going on.
a way to say it's not about you. It's not about you. Yeah. Like the whole world revolves around you. It's not about you. Yeah. It shows in
All right, I'm just going to go with a little top end sauce in those. I think they sound fine. If you want to get in there and get more tweak head, by all means do it. But in the end of the day, I want this stuff to sound good and natural in your face, riding above that track and present. So let's make sure we're covering all those. Moving along here. Let's go ahead and start addressing some dynamics on backgrounds. And I think this is going to be a good time to pause, and we'll start another video from here.